From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know. A production of iHeartRadio.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
My name is Noel.
They call me Ben. We are joined as always with our super producer, Paul Mission Control Decant. Most importantly, you are you. You are here. That makes this the stuff they don't want you to know. Oh, finally, again, we say it. It's autumnal. Here in the fair metropolis of Atlanta, Georgia, coming to you semi-live from the United States. We are so excited. What's that line from Hellraisers? I have such wonders to show you.
Yeah, kinky wonders.
Oh, I think it's Hellraisers singular too.
I think it is. It's it's funny. There's a bunch of like deep divey YouTube explorations of the Cenobites and the Hellraiser universe, and they're apparently not actually demons at all.
No.
Yeah, they're just weird kinky zombies.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't know if you guys ever have this sensation that maybe someone
sensation. That's very Hellraiser.
If you wake up in the middle of the night and, we all have animals. If your animal is acting weird when you wake up in the middle of the night and you get the hairs stand up in the back of your neck and you're like, something's wrong. Something's off. My go-to line when I walk around the house with my bat, usually is my implement. The one that Ben gave me. It's so good, Ben. I will say quietly and sinisterly, I can smell you.
Ooh, that's creepy. I love it.
I just say, intruder, show yourself. Show yourself, coward.
That's great, man. That's great that you sleep at night.
Sometimes.
Bro, since I've quit drinking, I've been getting a solid 7.5 a night, baby.
Whoa.
Tracked on my Apple Watch that's also tracking all of my other metrics and funneling them directly to the NSA.
Man, it's all loading up, dude. Apple Watch, all this sleep, cutting boards.
Right.
I know. When you write it all down like that, I really am living the life of the swells.
I asked Matt on one of our group conversations earlier, or I asked both you guys, let's be fair, for recommendations on house cleaning services. And Noel had a great recommendation. Actionable. Yeah. And then Matt was like, there's a naked guy who goes through my house about twice a week.
It's me, by the way.
Yeah, he said he looks a lot like me. And then he said, wait, no, actually, I think he is me. I need to look into this. And I said, don't get your ding-ding caught in the bread box.
My son was in the vehicle when I texted that to you guys, and he didn't see the initial thing, but then he saw notifications that you guys were texting me come up, and he clicked on it, like, because he reached up and he clicked on it, and it was a response to it, and then I had to explain the joke that I had made to y'all. So
was it my "don't get your ding dong caught in the bread box"?
That was the yes.
He had questions, understandable,
yes. And the cutting board reference there was entirely for you, Matt. I felt bad, Noel, that you thought I was talking about your cutting board pursuits. I just think a kitchen is a dangerous place.
Oh, come now, Ben. You know it was a callback to my cutting board.
It was not. It was
Don't
not.
be coy.
I'm not being coy.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyway, that's our cold open.
Pillorying me. Oh, it is. Yeah.
That's our cold open. This is listener mail.
And we've returned, and we are jumping immediately to the phone lines to hear a message from young Skip. He calls himself Crazy Skip. He's a distinguished gentleman who's seen a lot of what life has to offer. He's a Vietnam veteran. He's a retired firefighter, and he wants us to look into something very specific that's also related to a two-parter classic episode that we released in the recent past, and we've explored extensively. He's also very interested in a certain book that he's read multiple times, and he believes the contents to be true, or at least based in factual events. So we're going to look at that today, and let's say we're going to scratch the surface and see where it takes us. So here's our message from Crazy Skip.
Hey guys, this is Crazy Skip from Baltimore. I've read Kathy O'Brien's book, Transformation of America, 3 times. Her partner, Mark Phillips, saved her life. He's deceased, died somehow in 2017. Don't know how, but I've read her book 3 times and couldn't put it down. And what she's saying is true. I really believe it. From an old conspiracy theorist of 76, Vietnam vet, retired firefighter, I've done it all. And now I love you guys, love conspiracy theories, love conspiracy realists. That's what we are. Thanks for what you do. Keep it up.
There we go. Thank you so much, first of all, for sending us that message, for spending time with us, Crazy Skip. We love that you're a part of the show. And it, I don't know, gives me a lot of joy. It probably does for you guys, too, just knowing that you're out there listening to us when we're talking.
Absolutely. I'm consistently surprised that is the case, that there are people out there in internet land listening to us.
We're all here together. You know what I mean? Gathered around a campfire in the dark, I think. And Crazy Skip, looking forward to meeting you. Looking forward also to some advice about best restaurants in Baltimore, because I got to go back to Mount Vernon. I don't remember if I told you guys this.
Do tell or keep your secrets.
All right. Well, there's a great museum there. It's going to be fine. Crazy Skip has read a book 3 times. Is that correct?
Yes. A very specific book that you're going to have trouble looking it up unless you hear this. The title is spelled Trance, TRANCE, space, Formation of America.
Love it.
So yeah, there's spaces between the other words, but just it's not transformation, it's transformation. And the subtitle is An MKUltra Mind Control Survivor, a Whistleblower's True Story. So I have never heard of this book before. I have, however, heard about the authors of this book because, guys, we've talked about this before, but Roseanne Barr has a podcast.
Yeah, that's the one where RFK Jr. revealed his whole bear debacle.
Yes, and she has
an awkward interview of all time.
She has a way of just getting through to people, as she did when she was on television. I remember watching her show a lot, and I think it's episode 21. It is episode 21 of her podcast. She had this author, Kathy O'Brien, on as a guest, and at least I listened through some of it, not the entirety of the episode, but these 2 people, Roseanne Barr and Kathy O'Brien, are very good friends. They've known each other for a long time, and they had a very frank discussion about the contents of this book, as though it is very much real, and everything that it's said to have happened inside that book occurred. So let's go over just a basic description of this book, and I'm taking this from the website trance-formation.com. Quote, Transformation of America is the documented autobiography of a victim of government mind control. Kathy O'Brien is the only vocal and recovered survivor of the Central Intelligence Agency's MKUltra Project Monarch mind control operation. Before we go any further, guys, we've talked about MKUltra. It is a real thing. There are documents that you can find that were declassified. Some of it's still redacted, but you can see the actual documents about this mind control attempt, this operation, this thing that is known as MKUltra. Guys, do you want to just talk about it a little bit, about what this program was, the stuff we know?
Yeah. MKUltra is the tip of an iceberg, accidentally discovered by the American public through remnants of documents that were misassigned. They were not where they were supposed to be. All the other stuff, the vast majority of documentation and research from MKUltra was destroyed well in advance. The global public will never know the full extent of the CIA just kind of doing what we call FAFO, right? Freak around and futz out.
Right. I mean, basically, among other things, dosing unsuspecting civilians with LSD to find out what would happen.
Well, yeah.
If anyone wants to dig a little deeper into that, there's a really cool iHeart original series called Operation Midnight Climax, which was another name for that program. I was lucky enough to be able to narrate that, but I didn't do any of the writing or any of that. It was all our amazing team headed by Jason English, but really cool music and sound design. It's a really fun show, and it really digs deep into this whole program.
Yeah.
And just to set the stage here, to light the candles at this dinner or for this ritual, MKUltra is a proven conspiracy, a proven set of conspiracies. As you said, Noel, Operation Midnight Climax is a stem to stern banger and worth a listen. It also goes into detail with the idea of dosing people with LSD, height of the Cold War kind of thing, partially to figure out whether one could create a truth serum, which doesn't really exist, and then also to ideate on whether we could program people via the generation of like different personalities, Sirhan type, time windowed or freeze triggered things.
Yes. And if you're interested in this actual program, also see Project Artichoke, as well as I think Bluebird is the other title that was given to this. These are provable things that the Central Intelligence Agency did, where they were looking into all that kind of stuff, but also using not just LSD and other, psychoactive substances, using isolation, psychological torture techniques, essentially, ways to make interrogations more effective.
Enhance them a little bit, perhaps.
There you go.
To make you feel like you have lost the anchor of what you define as yourself, such that there's just a little butterfly that replaces you.
Oh, God. And this all begins post-World War II, as we get into real Cold War tensions in the early 1950s. This is a real thing. Now, the other thing that is mentioned in here is Project Monarch. Now, that is a thing that, at least to my mind, guys, has been alleged, but is not documented in the same way that Artichoke, Bluebird, and MKUltra are documented. Monarch is the alleged version of this that goes way beyond any of the official stuff. Yeah, and there are allegations that this is the program that has caught people up like Britney Spears. We talked about that in the past. Project Monarch has caught up other people, and it involves often sexual abuse. It involves way more psychological torture. And again, the attempts essentially to get someone under total control. But we have to say again, there are allegations of this. This is an alleged thing, but this book and this person are saying this is absolutely true. And Kathy is saying I was a victim of this. So guys, we are going to continue exploring what Kathy and Transformation of America says by going to another page on their website. It's the About Mark and Kathy page. You can find it pretty easily. And this is where we will learn a little bit more about Kathy herself, as well as Mark Phillips, her partner, who did pass away in 2017, as Skip said in the message there. Mark Phillips, at least according to the writings on the website, is a person that assisted Kathy from escaping the clutches of whatever she was going through, as well as documented these things. But it goes back to regression therapies that we've also talked about on the show, guys. And if you go through this About page, you're going to find information that, guys, I can only describe as wild. It feels like, what's that quote about claims and needing
extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence? I'm paraphrasing, but right?
Yes.
Exceptional claims require exceptional evidence. Something.
Yes. So, but you can learn about Mark and how he, at least according to this bio, which looks like it was written by him, he says his first encounter with mind control research began in the late 1960s in Atlanta, Georgia, at Emory University, in the Primate Center there. And then, he was interested in that stuff. He was apparently what is it? He worked for the DOD as a contractor. And then he met Kathy O'Brien. Then he says he was able to, quote, liberate MKUltra victims, Kathy O'Brien and her daughter, from the invisible grip of the U.S. government's secret weapon of control.
It's a bold claim.
It is a bold claim. There are very important human beings in history and U.S. politics that are mentioned specifically by Kathy O'Brien that were allegedly involved in some of this stuff. Look it up. See what you think. It feels intense to me and requires way more proof than is currently there. According to them, the proof is not allowed to be shown because it is against the law. That's according to Mark and Kathy O'Brien. They can't even share the real stuff. So I don't know. Come up with your own ideas about it. But, maybe if you're like Skip, you're going to believe it fully. Maybe you're going to be more skeptical. Just take it. Just take the information and try and process it. And then we'll look at it again.
And we would love primary sources because continually the devilish, dangerous, tantalizing thing about projects like MKUltra is we only know part of it.
Exactly. So we're going to hear a couple more words from our sponsor. We'll be right back with more messages from you.
And we have returned with another couple of pieces, actually, of listener mail. Messages from you. Yes, you. This first one coming from Matt. And it's about the CIA and the question of, do you ever really stop being CIA? He says
also different Matt.
Yeah, different Matt. That's right. And it's funny, guys. I actually, when we do these listener mails, we search our inbox or whatever using keywords from, messages coming to us from a certain email address. I actually accidentally searched for our old email address, the old How Stuff Works conspiracy blog email. And that's where this one came from. So this is probably referencing something we said many, many, many years ago. But it really grabbed me, and I thought it was a really cool thing to discuss because this is not something that I knew or had thought about. So Mac starts. On a recent episode, you asked the question, do you ever stop being CIA? Now, I am not part of the CIA, but my grandfather was in the 50s and 60s. By the time I was born in the early 70s, he had retired and gone on to being a high school history teacher. He used to tell us stories of the countries that he and his family had lived in during his career in the agency, but very rarely did we actually hear any stories about operations that he'd been a part of. I guess my personal experience tells me that he was always aware of what he could and could not talk about to his immediate family, but his time in the agency was solidly part of his past. One thing of note, however, everyone who works for the CIA signs an agreement that they have to have all artwork and writing approved by the CIA before it can be published. Ostensibly, this is to prevent the leakage, intentional or otherwise, of classified information. This means that the comics writer, Tom King, for example, has to have every Batman script approved by the CIA before it can be published. To that extent, I think that no, the CIA never really stops being a part of your life. Matt, that blew my mind. And I guess it makes sense, but there was part of me that was even like, is this true? And no shade on you, Matt. I was just like, seems insanely broad. And sure enough, the CIA website, cia.gov, has an entire page dedicated to something called the Pre-Publication Classification Review Board. And it does seem to largely revolve around things like memoirs, and, recounting one's time specifically in the CIA, but it can absolutely pertain to fictionalizations of those things, for the very reason that Matt said, the idea that something that shouldn't be public information could intentionally or accidentally be leaked. This is from the website itself. Definition of publication. The CIA secrecy agreement requires such communication to be submitted for pre-publication review and approved prior to discussing the material with or showing it to individuals such as a publisher, co-author, agent, editor, ghostwriter, personal representative, family member, or assistant. relating to CIA or intelligence activities. Former and current CIA officers and contractors are not required to submit all proposed publications for pre-publication review. For example, the requirement does not apply to material created around subjects such as gardening, wine tasting, stamp collecting, or sports. These are likely to be outside of the purview of the CIA mission and intelligence. However, commentary on matters such as intelligence operations or tradecraft, even fictional works, foreign intelligence, foreign events, or intelligence interest, one's career at CIA, scientific or technological developments discussed in an intelligence context, and other topics that touch upon CIA interest or responsibilities need PCRB approval.
Yeah.
Guys, I bet you already knew this. I did not know this. The comics angle is interesting because I do think Tom King, some of his run of Batman, there's like a military side to it. There's like kind of like a spy sort of bent to it. So maybe that's not true that he has to have every single script reviewed. Ben, you seem a little skeptical on that front, but I do believe Tom King, who actually we met at Comic-Con one year, a former colleague of ours, Christian Sager, interviewed him for a video series on the old How Stuff Works YouTube. But if I remember correctly, there was some kind of intelligence bent to Tom King's Batman comics. So I don't know. Ben, what do you think on that side? You're also probably more familiar with the comics than me.
Oh, yeah, no comment. I have to send some emails first.
Well, I was just going to say this message from Matt could be from 2 dozen episodes that we've done in the past, because I can hear Ben's voice ringing in my head every time we say ex-CIA officer.
Right.
Where, Ben, where you're always like, yeah, right.
Yeah, the X is almost a joke. No, it's true.
I mean... Also, this is one thing we can say here is that this is a necessary stopgap measure, right?
Absolutely.
There are more sinister versions of this. Like, this is not inherently a bad thing to check in. We have to remember that actionable intelligence is perishable, right? The real kind of move by move secret, beat me here, Paul, the move by move secret is kind of like when you buy an avocado or a banana. It goes bad quick,
a couple days max. Yeah,
right.
And so, I mean, but that's also why things get declassified.
Yes. Yeah. When everything works as it should. Now, another less understandable version of this would be the restrictions placed on other intelligence agencies. For instance, if you happened to somehow survive working intelligence under Stalin, you don't say a thing. You don't have the same name at this point. You know what I mean? You just run away and hope Yosef doesn't find you. Does that sound too anti-Russian?
No.
Okay.
I think it's also fine to be anti-Russian. They kind of suck.
Okay, we'll keep the whole thing in.
Okay.
With this, I don't know. Conspiracy realist Matt, you are absolutely correct, and Noel, you are absolutely correct as well. I would argue this is sort of a checkpoint thing. It doesn't necessarily stop people. But if you're at that level, then you should already know not to cross certain lines. You know what I mean?
I'm sure that's been drilled into your head a couple times.
I would think so. Yeah.
Y'all, I'm so excited. I just found the online web portal to, quote, contact CIA. And there's an online form you can fill out. And just by me clicking on it, I'm assuming somebody's got a portal open on the other side, just waiting to watch what I type in here. You can find it if you go to cia.gov/contact-CIA. It's really cool.
That is cool. It's literally like a contact us form on a business website.
But it's really cool. It's got some kind of Java or active animation. So when you hover over, where you'd put your name or your email or phone number in there, it actively is like animating, which makes it feel like it's
keylogging,
watching you. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, seriously.
The void stares back.
I'm looking up some of the plots of this Tom King 100-issue Batman run, and for some reason in my head, when we interviewed him back at Comic-Con, I just seem to remember there were some plot points that revolved around war or like military stuff, but now I'm not seeing that. So I am a little skeptical as to whether he would have had to have all these scripts reviewed but I don't know, Ben. I guess the question there becomes, how broad is this application by the CIA? Like in the website, it says wine tasting or stamp collecting. But if you're doing a fictional series about a crime fighting vigilante individual who might use tools that could have been inspired by military technology or intelligence, does that potentially fall under this, need for review?
Well, let's also think, for example, in the world of Batman, I had some pretty intense conversations about Batman recently. In Christopher Nolan's film adaptation, Batman, they deploy an
surveillance state.
Even before that, they deploy a fictional version of a real life project called Skyhook.
Right.
Wait, is that Batman Begins that we're talking about, or Batman?
I think that's Dark Knight.
Dark Knight Rises.
The way they extract him from they whip him out of an apartment, with the little harness or whatever that just yanks him right down out of there. But that was real. It was a way of extracting people from ops. Right?
It was a pitch. Batman.
Oh, so it was more of an experimental thing. Okay, got it.
Oh, dang it.
Didn't necessarily. Okay, I see.
That's what we're going to go with.
The movies are getting just jumbled in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Batman Begins is the first one. Yep. The Dark Knight is the second one.
Right.
The Dark Knight Rises is the third one.
Yes.
Is it the second or third film?
I think it's the second.
It's the second. It's the one with the current best Joker. Sorry,
Current.
Jared. Yeah.
Agreed. Killer. Rewatched that recently.
Also,
totally holds up.
Also, no shade, not to disparage Joaquin Phoenix. Am I saying that correct? His Joker?
Joaquin.
All right. Well, Joaquin Phoenix has a very different Joker, which exists in a different universe. To your question, Matt, Dark Knight, the second of that trilogy by Christopher Nolan, is the one that is perhaps the most sort of espionage based, I would argue, right?
Got it.
Because to your point, Noel, that is like the spoiler, by the way, folks, that is the film wherein mass surveillance is deployed, like mass echolocation, right?
Yep. And I am looking at some panels from some of these Tom Kane Batman comics, and there's a lot of depictions of soldiers. There's a lot of depictions of sniper type situations and things that could potentially have been influenced by stuff that Tom King experienced as a participant in CIA operations. So I think it does make sense. But again, the question then becomes, it is obviously at the discretion of the CIA what falls under that. That umbrella. So the answer is no, you never really stop being CIA, because they're always going to kind of have their hooks in you in terms of what you can and cannot say,
But it's sorry guys, I'm in all of this Batman world. I'm thinking about Scarecrow and the portrayal in The Dark Knight of
that's
Cillian
MKUltra
Murphy
type stuff.
That's what I mean, like some of that stuff that was going on. Cillian Murphy, by the way, just seems like a badass human being.
Oh, he seems lovely. I love his bored, the memes of him just looking really bored and listless during pressers or whatever. So man, I think we're good with that one. Huge thanks, Matt, for this food for thought here. I think it got all of our gears spinning a little bit. And yeah, it just really does. I guess it's all up to the discretion of the CIA as to what falls under, what might be considered subject to review in terms of art, writing, heck, music. Who knows? If you're writing songs that have stuff in them that could potentially spill the beans about some sort of secret op, they'd probably want to know about that. So we're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsor, and then come back with another message from you.
Welcome back, and congratulations to everyone who survived the ad break. We're glad that you are here. One important note about disclosure: if you work with any sort of intelligence operation, you might not be aware that you are doing so. And I just want to point out that, yes, it's an imperfect track record, but not all of these people are bad. Sometimes the news and indeed history can become, can have a weaponized narrative, right? The story can get twisted. And that may indeed be the case in Colorado recently. We want to give a huge thanks to multiple fellow conspiracy realists tuning in tonight, hopefully joining us at the campfire. Captain Crimson Fox Krista from Key West et al., who wrote in and asked us, what the heck is going on with Venezuelan gangs in Colorado? Now, we talked about this a little bit off air. The log line, right, like the elevator pitch of this, is the idea that organized crime based from Venezuela is overtaking residential apartment blocks, and that the local government is willfully playing the proverbial ostrich and sticking their heads in the ground.
Yeah, I remember encountering this just studying up for a strange news episode and looking for, articles that were out there that we could cover. And there was one story specifically about a woman in Colorado that caught some strange activity in her apartment complex on a Ring camera and was attempting to use it to prove to the local police that there was gang activity happening. Mm-hmm. That's at least how I found this story for the first time.
Yeah. In this experience, I got some direct reach outs regarding this. We'll read the correspondence from Captain. Hello, you can call me Captain, Captin. You can call me Captain, I guess we would pronounce it. Captain. Please feel free, says Captain, to use my name and message on air if you see fit. I'm from northern Colorado and have family living near where this is happening. Luckily, not close enough to be directly affected. I stumbled across a headline on Reddit and did a little digging. There are only a few articles about it so far. The mayor did make a statement, though it was vague, had no hint of a plan of what they were going to do. It seems like Mr. Mayor is hinting at a larger conspiracy, perhaps. I'm just sort of shocked that this is not a bigger deal. Seems like kind of a big deal, but I'm no expert. Where were the police? Is anyone doing anything about this? Are things like this happening elsewhere and are not being publicized? And then Captain ends on a very nice note saying, thank you all for being a voice that's logical, rational, and, get this, guys, downright entertaining in these chaotic days. Oh, we're blushing. Oh, shucks. But he links to the same video that you, Matt, are describing. And then we have, Krista from Key West is writing in with the same thing. Crimson Fox is writing in as well. And the concern seems to be that this is a collapse of rule of law, right? That's the idea.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this before we dive into the specifics of Tren de Aragua.
Well, I'm so sorry, guys. I don't have the original reporting in front of me that I stumbled upon in the video that I watched when I first encountered this. But what I recall hearing, at least from the witness who took that video, who ended up moving out of the apartment complex, I think with the help of like a major city official, helped her move out of the apartment complex because she was so fearful of her own life. But the response initially that she got when she would try and report gang activity or, what she thought was gang activity in her apartment complex, the response from the police was, yes, of course, we'll send somebody out there. But behind the scenes, they wouldn't deploy anyone to check out anything at that apartment complex or in the immediate vicinity of that apartment complex unless they could send 4 officers in total or more. 4 or more officers for a single call. And that very rarely happened or was able to happen.
And I am immensely excited that you bring that aspect of it to bear here, Matt. As far as we understand, The story goes viral around August 28th of 2024. A local TV station out of Denver, Colorado, or a reporter employed at that station, post a video on Twitter, which I refuse to call X because that's just a stupid name. The post on Twitter showing this video that you, Crimson Fox, and Key West Krista and Captain are describing. And if you watch it, it shows a group of men, right, 4 of whom are visually armed, and they're entering an apartment. This is not occurring in Denver. It is occurring in a suburb of Denver, Aurora.
That's where Wayne's World is set. Sorry.
I just love the joy that you had with that.
I know. Let's just party on, Ben. Please carry on.
Party on, Noel. The reporter is working for specifically a regional outlet, KDVR, Fox 31. And this is, an affiliate franchise of the Fox network. The claim is there is some sort of takeover, right? And LEO will not respond for one reason or another, sort of like the favela in Brazil, where Bope is not going to rock in unless they're functioning as a military force. This is where we get to things that, I don't know, muddy the water, as we said earlier, because it's hitting the zeitgeist. It's a little bit of a dog whistle, in my opinion, regarding immigration. We know that Uncle Sam created many of the monsters it now purports to hunt, and you can see that the world over.
Armed them, gave them an ideological reason to exist.
Well, it's true. And yet, simultaneously, just as we covered in Strange News this week, there are weird occurrences, lower level occurrences, where they're like with the, what do we call it? Criminal tourism or crime tourism things that are happening where there are enterprises built up for that very thing. But it's not the same as the dog whistle stuff that's happening.
Yeah, it's not the same. Look, and I appreciate us bringing that up because the gang that is accused in specific, the organized criminal outfit, is Tren de Aragua. And this is a real outfit, just like how MS-13 is a real thing. They're bad dudes. They're hard cases. They're not good. You don't want to hang out with them, just to be honest. And they are considered a transnational criminal organization. That came from the Biden administration back in 2024. The issue, though, is that when the police of Aurora, Colorado, made a statement about this, they said the following, quote, "We are aware that components of TDA are operating in Aurora. APD Aurora Police Department, has been increasingly collecting evidence to show the gang is connected to crimes in the area. However, as we have said previously, and as the DEA similarly stated, it would be improper at this time for the city and APD to make any conclusory statements about specific incidents or provide details about law enforcement strategy and operations." So to unpack that, what they are saying is, yes, the gang is real, or at least groups of people purporting to be associated with this gang are operating in this suburb and probably Denver overall, metro area. But we can't say whether the claims you're hearing from your local Fox news station are in fact true. And this makes me think, you guys, gang activity can often be decentralized. You know what I mean? Like,
of course,
right? Like,
sometimes they operate very similarly to the way terrorist cells operate.
Right. So that's a great example, because let's imagine then, let's say you commit a crazy crime, a notable crime. Let's say instead of podcasting, we all saw like Gone in 60 Seconds and got super into Grand Theft Auto. We're just stealing.
We've all been there. We've all been.
You get in situations.
Yeah, phase.
We had a phase. And so let's say that one of us gets apprehended stealing all these Aston Martins and these Lambos. And the one of us who gets caught says, we're part of something bigger, something you cannot imagine. We're actually, I don't know, what's a fun gang? We're the Apple Dumpling Gang.
Oh. I thought you said a fun game, and I was going to say Tiddlywinks, but that would also be a fun name for a gang. The Tiddlywinks Boys.
The Tiddlywinks Boys. And so let's imagine then there is a Tiddlywinks Boys, or there is an Apple Dumpling Gang. They exist somewhere else in the world. We've never really hung out with them. We're not, they don't consider us part of their larger organization. We're just claiming.
False flag almost? Like,
yeah, the Crip and Blood example would be false flag. Yeah. That's what I think. I think the most important part of this is to remember that there were people endangered, right? There were arrests of two folks who, as law enforcement describes them, had gang ties. What does that mean?
Gang, gang.
What does that mean?
What, gang, gang?
Yeah.
It just means like bitching.
Oh.
I may be using it completely incorrectly.
It's like when you hit someone with a thumbs up emoji in a text. That's what gang is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ah, all right.
So,
well, hey, speaking of gang for us guys, call back to Matt, who wrote into us in 2020, by the way.
nice.
Found it?
I found the
Thank
episode
you.
Matt was referencing. It is titled Your News Agency or the CIA, the story of Operation Mockingbird. A banger of an episode, if we do say so ourselves.
Have we released that as a classic recently? If not, maybe we should.
I don't think so, but it is worth your time. Talks about infiltration of news agencies by the agency.
in an August 30th, 2024 statement on Facebook, the mayor of Aurora, Colorado, Mike Kaufman, said they're going to request a court order to clear out this apartment complex with the idea that they would, or with the aim that they would get these, quote, get these properties back under the control of the property owners. Now, we're at
did we mention the name of the property?
Let's do it. The Fitzsimmons Place Apartments.
Oh, wow. I was looking at Whispering Pines Apartments.
Yeah, there are multiple things in play here.
Holy mackerel.
We're also thinking of the Edge at Lowry, right? That's one of the places named. So in general, we see the allegation or the accusation being that an armed gang functioning in concert is essentially a militia. You know what I mean? So what we are looking at here is the idea that some sort of militant force is violating rule of law and that the law is somehow unable or unwilling to crack down. And this is, I don't know, man, it's dangerous because it's such rich, fertile soil for people who want to push a given narrative. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it's also a super difficult situation. It doesn't matter how big your police department is. Do you really want your department to go to war with a gang? Like, really? Do you want that? Mm-hmm. Probably not if you're an elected official like the mayor or, a police chief who is, I guess, not elected. But still, I can imagine it being a real tight spot. Like, what actions do I take here to make, it's personal, isn't it? It's to make myself look good.
Hey, popping in though, this is not Illinois. This is Colorado. Wayne's World did not take place in Aurora, Colorado. It was Illinois. But we had a little conversation off mic, and I just think this kind of loss of control by a city is the kind of stuff that oftentimes politicians, when they're trying to kind of demonize cities, referring to them as quote unquote like war zones. This is the kind of stuff you picture, isn't it?
Yeah. Also purported loss of control.
100%.
The thing is, if you go to if you go to the Denver Post, if you go to the other local news affiliates like NBC or ABC, super creative names, guys, what you'll see is interviews. What you will ABC or NBC is a series of interviews with people who actually live in these apartment complexes. And a lot of these folks, candidly, are what you would call migrants if you're a politician. And when they're asked whether a gang is taking over, they're all saying no. And when they're asked whether they feel safe, they also say no. But the reason these folks say that they do not feel safe is because these apartment complex management companies are apparently asleep at the wheel. Like they're not doing basic upkeep and, health code stuff.
Dude.
This is just the kind of story I could see certain politicians getting a hold of and having a field day with, though. You know what I mean? Like in terms of like pointing to problems with immigration, et cetera.
Guys, I have two things just that I noticed in re-looking at some of these articles. The first is that these apartments, at least Whispering Pine apartments, they are described as affordable housing, essentially. Sure. And it does mention that it is mostly, they say Hispanic families, working class families. That's the way it's at least described by CBS. And in there, they note that rents go from anywhere from $1,400 a month to $2,000 a month for affordable housing.
Well,
just that, but really, that blows my mind. First of all, that's the price that you pay for an apartment complex that is described in that way. The second thing is that I kept trying to figure out why I remember Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah.
And we just talked about the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
Right.
And if you go back to 2012, that's when there was the shooting at the Aurora Theater, which it was at the Dark Knight Rises screening. Yeah. So just sorry, the weird connections there are all present here.
Yeah, it seems like there's a few little red threads connecting some of our stories today.
And one thing that I would note here as well, it's not uncommon for certain aspects of the American population to immediately conflate any large gathering of people they don't care for with crime. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. You got a bunch of Albanians, at a cookout. That doesn't make them the mafia, right? Or I should say, you got a bunch of Sicilians, somewhere off the turnpike, just hanging out at a picnic. That doesn't make them the mafia. That doesn't make them Cosa Nostra or whatever. There is a great requirement the U.S. is still dealing with, which is, how do I recognize the people I meet here as not dangerous strangers, but as neighbors? And if you live somewhere in this country, someone probably lives pretty close to you. Learn about them, not to be too Ted Lasso about this, because I'm still recovering from our adoption episode, but be curious. You know what I mean? Don't tell people who they are in your head. Ask them to tell you who they are in their head.
It reminds me of that M1 song. I think it's M1 called Confidential. We're just talking about, get to know your neighbors, but also, you ever notice that there's one neighbor who's really nosy?
Hey, and if you don't have it, it might be you.
Right. And with that, we are going to call it an evening. We are off to Noctivigate. Thank you again, fellow conspiracy realist, for joining us here in the dark. We want to hang out with you, perhaps on an episode, perhaps on a future listener mail or strange news. Tell us your thoughts. We try to be easy to find online. I forgot to put that part in.
It's okay, boy, do we ever. You can find us at the handle Conspiracy Stuff, where we exist all over the internet. On Facebook, where we have our Facebook group. Here's where it gets crazy. Join up. Get in on the conversation. It's a lot of fun. Good folks there. Good memings. As well, you can find us on YouTube, where we have video content for you to enjoy, and on X, FKA Twitter. I don't like saying X either, Ben. On Instagram and TikTok, however, we are Conspiracy Stuff Show.
Hey, if you are looking for some video content related to this episode, why not head on over to our YouTube channel, as Noel said, Conspiracy Stuff. Check out Project Artichoke. the Manchurian Candidate. It's a great video. It's only 10 years old at this point. Oh my God.
Oh, boy.
Hey, if you want to call us, our number is 1-833-STDWYTK. That's just stuff they don't want you to know in letter form that you have to turn into numbers. Good luck. If you pass the test, you can leave a 3-minute voicemail. Give yourself a cool nickname and say whatever you'd like. Do let us know if we can use your name and message on the air. If you got more to say than can fit in that voicemail, why not instead send us a good old-fashioned email? We are
the entities that read every piece of correspondence we receive. Be well aware yet unafraid. Sometimes the void writes back. Conspiracy@iHeartRadio.com.
Stuff They Don't Want You to Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.